Good waves coming through the rip there. Absolutely some good opportunity for these guys. As the tide rolls back around and starts coming back in, I think it'll probably get even a little bit better, Mike.
I think so. As we're into heat number 13, of course, you just saw on your screen out in the water now. That is, of course, Danny Wills from Australia, Jake Paterson from Australia, and Marcelo Nunes from Brazil. We see a shot of Roy Powers there exiting the water. Roy, of course, will probably go into round number 2, which could come up as early as today. See him marching across the bank here at Mundaka. Unbelievable tidal changes here at Mundaka. About 14.5 foot of high tide, and it goes all the way to 0. So 14 feet tidal changes as we are into heat number 13, round number 1.
Yeah, you can definitely see well, there's a guy up and riding in red. Looks like Danny Wills opting to kick out of that one, and looks like blue out the back. Marcelo Nunes out of Brazil. Nice little slam off the top and a crack in that air, going for it there. Marcelo Nunes adding a little excitement.
He launched a huge air there. And we see a shot of Jake Paterson there yet to open his account. So Marcelo Nunes, really, I think, realizing that a nice first turn and then the section was going to close out on him, knowing he had to really go for it, almost completed that air. I think that would have been a pretty big score had he made it.
Absolutely. Definitely adding some excitement to the morning here.
So you can see a shot there from where we're sitting up on the cliff here at Mundaka. The bank constantly changing and moving, this riptide pouring out through the lineup. Dino, earlier in the first heat of the day, Andy Irons and Fred Patachia, and who else was in that heat? I believe it was Hira Turnafatufa. They were literally getting sucked out to sea, out to the island, and they had to bellyboard waves in just to stay in the lineup, and then finally they moved down on the bank, and Andy was fortunate enough to pick off 2 waves at the end, but really trying conditions here this morning at Mundaka.
Absolutely. You get even in heat number 10 with Taj Bro and Luke Egan, Luke started out at the top right in the rip there and trying to get underneath the swell, and it was just difficult. He was stuck on top of the lip almost the entire heat.
Yeah, he had a good little strategy going there. I think had he have made one of those drops, he may have been able to pull into a barrel there, but unfortunately for Luke, he was unable to. Taj Burrow moved down the bank and picked up a few good waves. Taj, of course, won his heat. So if you're just joining us, just a recap so far this morning. We started with heat number 9, and we saw Andy Irons was victorious over Fred Patachia and Hira Turnafatufa. Then it was Taj Burrow over Greg Emsley and Luke Egan. Phil McDonald surfed really well out here a couple heats ago. He was victorious over Rayoni Montera and Nathan Hedge. And then, of course, the last heat, Mick Lowe over Dean Morrison and Roy Powers. We're into heat number 13 right now in the water. Jake Paterson from Australia, Danny Wills from Australia, and Marcelo Nunes from Brazil.
Well, it looks like the only guy, that didn't make their first round heat skipping the second round was Kelly Slater.
Yeah, out of all the seeds, it seems like all the guys in red are winning their heats. So Kelly Slater, he may actually surf in a couple hours' times here. Well, in 4 heats' time, if the tide doesn't get too high, of course.
Absolutely. So, Taj number 2 and Andy number 3 and Joel Parkinson and Mick Fanning all advancing, and Kelly stuck in that round number 2.
Yeah, pressure's going to be on Kelly too. You don't really want to be in round number 2 here. The conditions, as we've seen every day, so tricky. You never know. You could get one of those heats where there's very few waves that break, and it doesn't really matter who you're against. It's going to be a difficult heat no matter what. So we'll see. Of course, the big story was Kelly. He missed his heat the other day in round number 1, about 4 days ago now. Obviously, he was probably, I haven't spoken to him, but I think he was staying up in France and probably started driving a little late. Probably didn't think that we were going to get to his heat on time because, the bank fills up so fast and tide gets too high, but unfortunately missed his heat, so that's the way it goes.
Absolutely. I think that second day of competition caught a few guys off guard, and we were lucky enough to get some of those heats off that day. And, the waves were pretty good that day, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty decent. At least you shot a Mick Lowe, our winner there, exiting the water. Lowe, saw him the other day. He hangs out at this little kind of snack shop behind here, has a beer or two in the evenings, loves Mundaka. His whole family's here. His wife and family's traveling all over Europe with him. So Mick Lowe would be pretty stoked right about now. He had a really good heat there, a couple of nice scores, and he'd be stoked to skip through to round number 3.
Yeah, I think Mick got to the quarterfinals of the last event, and he could be making a little run here.
Yeah, this is one of his favorite spots. He said he feels pretty at home here. Of course, we have a paddle outside now. Marcelo Nunes from Brazil here.
Just nice little snap off the top for Marcelo, bumping around that section, getting to the inside there, and definitely looking like he did almost as much as he could do on
yeah,
that
I think he really looked it alive there, Marcelo Nunes. So we'll see what the judges think of that. But he rode that wave about as good as he could. A little mistake right at the end there to fall off. But when it's that small and you're linking turn to turn, as we see. Of course, we're in heat number 13 of round 1. Wilsey and Paterson and Marcelo Nunes. Marcelo Nunes we're speaking about on that last wave. Really looked on, Dino. Quick on his feet, real light, real lively, and that's what it's going to take out here. Mick Lowe looked real lively, too. Despite the fact the waves are pretty small, they have a pretty good amount of push on them right now on the low tide.
Absolutely, and you got to think that Marcelo Nunes would be pretty familiar with these conditions, living in Brazil and growing up in Brazil.
Yeah, no doubt.
Windy, rippy, kind of warbly type of conditions.
So we're going to watch a replay here of Marcelo Nunes coming up. And here it goes, Dino. He kind of springs off the top there. Look at all the spring in his step. Really quick second turn there. Third turn, he's really on every single one of those turns to get around this section.
Absolutely. Just popping each of those lips down the line. A lot of guys are kind of going around those, and he's seemed that second turn of the replay, you could see he kind of almost got his tail out a little bit.
Yeah, he got his tail above his head. The judges like to see that. A lot of spring in his step there. As Lowy comes up with a big smile on his face there up the rocks here at Mundaka. And that score for Marcelo Nunes, the replay we just saw, a 6.33. So the first wave of consequence in this heat so far, Dino.
Absolutely, and he
So we're going to cut to GT. He'll be with Mick Lowe in a few seconds here as we go back to live action paddling and up and riding right now in the red from Byron Bay. Danny Wills on his backside, floats across the first section. This is a nice looking wave, Big turn there and on third blast. He goes down though. Unfortunately, kind of just lost concentration at the end of that.
Yeah, it looks like GT's got.
Here guys, we're going to cut to GT.
Well, Mick Lowe, you went and did it. You broke the red jersey chain of victories there. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes when those bloody red shirt seeds get on a roll, they're really hard to stop. And luckily enough for me, I was the one to do it.
Now, you didn't do so bad out there. The conditions are challenging, but there's still some rippable waves when they come.
Yeah, well, when you think about Mundaka, you don't think conditions like this. You think of perfect left barrels, but I mean, if this was anywhere else in the world, it would be absolutely brilliant. So, the lefts are running off. They got plenty of speed, and if you get the right one, they allow you to do some nice turns.
So, you sure it wasn't the super treadmill sessions we've been having on the inside these last few days?
Yeah, I don't know about that GT or whether it was the nice and relaxing just area or whatever, but something worked anyway.
Well, the good news is you're going to have. Well, I mean, I probably reckon you'd rather keep on surfing, but now it looks like you're going to take a little breather and skip the next round.
Mate, I don't mind missing that 33rd round at all. It doesn't matter. I don't mind having a breather, missing that round. I don't like that round. It's bloody nerve-wracking. Well,
congratulations, Mick. Here we go. We have Blue up and riding right now. And that is none other than Marcelo Nunes. Marcelo, really slippery, smooth style. Brazilian, and he goes for a punt. There we go. Red on his backhand is not going to happen. And then yellow right behind him. Okay, here we go. This could be Jake Paterson. It is Jake. Jake hits it once, floats it, comes around the corner. Nice little hack right there into this real shallow, low-tide section, and then brings it on home with a little kind of rock and roll floater right there. Jake Paterson finishing off, and back to Snips and Dino in the tower.
All there, Dino, a real rock and roll floater there from Jake Paterson. A nice finishing move from Jake's opening wave.
Absolutely. It looked like he got up on the lip and just rocked his tail down, and little double pump floater there for Jake Paterson to finish that wave off. And Marcel Nunes on the previous wave to Jake's was looking really good, and he tried to crack another air but came unstuck.
Yeah, Marcelo seems to be going for the airs. Of course, he's in He's in an early lead at the moment as we're going to go to a replay of Jake Paterson's last wave. Here it is. He jumps up on the lip here to start. Kind of gets caught there for 1 second. He's looking down the line. You see a nice shot of the Water Patrol jet ski behind him as he went by. It's a little snap there. He's just setting this wave up, Dino, for the, like GT said, the shallow section here towards the end of the ride.
Yeah, it looks like you could see him pumping down the line there, and I mean, this is probably the best turn you could do on that section. Nice little rock and roll floater, real similar to what Taj Burrow was doing earlier in heat number 10.
Degree of difficulty there, one of the things the judge is looking for, and Jake with a really nice floater there. It comes through at a 4.83 for Jake Paterson's opening ride. So, Dino, that puts him in the hunt. I mean, Marcelo Nunes, really, if you break this heat down, Jake Paterson with the 4.83, Marcelo with a 6.33, and Danny Wills with a 4.0. Every guy's on the board, Marcelo with a slight lead.
Plenty of time left. There's looks like there's 20 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, and really no one with the outstanding score yet. Kind of all mid-range scores, and you can bet these guys are going to be looking to get at least one big score on the board here.
Yeah, without a doubt. We see Mick Fanning there. Of course, he was winner of his opening round heat a few days ago. He's sitting with Fred Patacha, who will have a heat coming up later today, and out the back now paddling up and riding here, Dino, in the yellow. This is Jake Paterson, wave number 2. He does a quick little off the top there, jams it off the top again. He's looking down the line, goes for a third turn. He's not happy with that wave at all.
Yeah, it looked like the wave just kind of went in on the bank. It didn't really round the bank, kind of came in onto it. But nonetheless, he got a couple nice moves off.
Yeah, a couple quick turns. It's going to be an average score, probably a little bit less than his opener for sure. And Dino, just speaking about some of the guys in the event that have been in form, who's kind of impressed you the most so far? We're still early days. Of course, we're in round 1, but out of the round 1, including the other day, who do you like so far?
Well, I'm really excited about the way Joel Parkinson and Mick Fanning are taking this later part of the year seriously. It seems like, coming out of France, those guys were just by far the best surfers that I saw, and coming into this event, they both looked, unstoppable. And this morning, prior to the event starting, those guys were the only 2 guys in the water. So you gotta like the way those guys are approaching the later part of this year.
Yeah, and the other day, both of them were pretty much the standout scores of round number 1. So I know Joel had a high 9, and so did Mick, a 9.5. So they both surfed great. 2 of the most informed surfers. As we take a look at Danny Wills pumping down the line, he just decides to kick out. But back to that point, I think that Kelly missed his heat. Andy did well this morning to figure out the bank, really tricky conditions, and win his heat. But definitely the other day, I think I'd have to agree with you, the 2 standouts were Mick Fanning and Joel Parkinson. So it's going to get interesting. This event's going to be tough whether we can squeak every single heat here out at Mundaka. This is the break we're at now, and of course we want to hold the event at Mundaka, but we may be moving over to Backio from time to time. Backio is, of course, a beach break around the corner with some pretty decent sandbars at the moment, and as the swell drops, we may have to go over there over the next few days and get a few rounds done.
Yeah, I mean, if we do move over there, I think it's it's going to be interesting, because the other day I actually surfed with Taj Burrow the other day just on the shore break, and he looked pretty unstoppable as well, at least on close to shore.
Yeah, he's riding some different equipment. He looks really fast and loose. He surfed in the Foster's Expression session yesterday and looked pretty good. Right now, of course, you're looking at on your screen Danny Wills, Jake Paterson, and Marcelo Nunes out in the water. Round number 1, heat number 13. We'll be going all the way through the 16 heats of round number 1, and then we'll make a decision on round number 2 as we approach that. But yeah, it changes the dynamics, Dino, when you go from a fast left point break like here at Mundaka to a beach break, and certainly different names come into your mind as really the standouts for over there versus out here on this left.
Absolutely. Like yesterday, Andy Irons cracked it like a 3-foot air to win the Expression session, and the top 5 guys are pretty much always a threat, regardless of the conditions. But
that's why they're in the top 5. They can surf anywhere in the world. As we see Willsy taking a look on the inside here, tricky right now. Danny Wills is sitting a little bit wider of his competitors, and I've noticed the rip all morning has moved down the line, further down the sandbar as the tide rushes out. So we're going to cut to a interview of Jake Paterson letting us know his favorite things about this area right here in Mundaka. So let's listen up to Jake Paterson.
The best place thing about Mundaka, I think, is the people. The people here are amazing. They're also friendly. I mean, we got grommets outside there getting everyone's autograph, and you know, it's pretty sick. It's really, in all, like in France, it's like a big, heavy scene, but here it's so laid back and just little grommets that one by one come up and ask you really nicely. So I reckon the people here are super nice.
So Jake Paterson, some nice words there about the people here in the town of Mundaka. And Dino, as we look up, Marcelo Nunes up and riding down the line here.
Well, Mike, it looks like the tide's definitely maybe at a standstill right before it's starting to come in. What do you think? It looks like there's definitely some changes going on in the lineup.
Well, you're spot on there, Dino. We had a low tide at 11:17, I think, and it's 11:20 here local time. So the tide has officially just turned. It's going to be on its way back out. So if I was a betting man, I'd say conditions will improve over the next hour as we get a little bit of water moving over the sand. It won't be quite as steep and dumpy as it is right now, but I think the wave will link up. Perhaps it'll move further up the bar, and guys will be able to take off a fair bit deeper and get some longer rides.
Yeah, you got to think that the guys in this heat are kind of waiting for some sets. It's been a little bit of a slow heat as far as sets come. Here, looks like Danny Will's up and riding, Mike.
And does a nice floater there. He tries to get around this. It's really difficult right now, Dino. We're at the bottom of the tide, like you said. The wave is really shutting down. Danny Wills with just one maneuver. So far, you know, really the only significant ride in this heat is Marcelo Nunes with that 6.33, the only good scoring wave so far in this heat. So Willsy and Jake, obviously a little bit frustrated right now. Halfway to go, though, you know, still a lot of time, 15 minutes to go.
Well, you know, you got to think of the race here, and historically speaking, the guy that comes out of Europe with a lead most of the time usually, you know, takes the title. So
I mean, we're down to the nitty gritty of the tour here. We're, you know, after this it's Brazil and Hawaii, so a really important event here. For everyone, not only the guys going for the world title, but all those guys trying to, you know, make sure they qualify for the tour next year. And you know,
some big names on the cusp there. You know, you got Nathan Hedge, and you got, you know, Mick Lowe and Chris Ward. You got a host of really good talent on the, you know, trying to get a result.
That's right. As Dino, we're looking at the sandbar right now, the shot they were just showing. And that's actually where we've been surfing on the high tide on the inside. It's completely on the other side of the judge's tower. You can't even see it, but there's so much sand that the tide swings 14 feet up from where it's at right now, and a little wave comes through the inside of there. So here goes Marcelo Nunes. He's carrying a little bit of speed on a smaller wave. Goes for a big air reverse there, Dino, and goes down.
Yeah. We've been sneaking off surfing that little rip bowl there at high tide, and we've been lucky to get a few waves out there.
Yeah, it was. It gets good right about an hour before the high. It tends to turn on in there, and there's a nice little left and right. A lot of the top guys have been out there. Joel Parkinson was having a great time out there the other day on his backside. And it's difficult to stay in the spot, though, once the tide turns. Like we've been saying, it's like a river going out here at Mundaka. Water pouring out this river mouth. So right now these guys a little bit frustrated, lack of waves. And Dino, of course, it's myself, Mike Parsons, and Dino. Just say hello to everyone at home there, Dino, and on Webland all around the world, tuned in here to Mundaka.
I'd like to welcome you all to the 2006 Mundaka Pro, sponsored by Billabong. And we're happy to be here, and we're underway, getting some action going. We're coming up in heat number 13. We have at the moment Danny Wills, Jake Paterson, and Marcelo Nunes, and currently with 12 minutes remaining. In the first position is Marcelo Nunes.
Speaking of first, there goes Marcelo. There's a bigger set out the back here, Dino. Jake Paterson's in the rip. He's having a look a little bit too far out for that one. Jake deciding not to go. But, of course, coming up next is a pretty hotly contested heat. We're going to have Bruce Irons, Chris Ward, and I think Troy Brooks is not going to surf that heat, Dino. Is a wild card going to get in because he's injured?
Yeah, Corey Arambidi will be replacing Troy Brooks but unfortunately, he'll be missing the first round here.
Well, he's on his way from France right now, right, driving, so maybe he'll make the tail into the heat. But your point is, if he misses the first round, he's still in the event?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he'll be going against Kelly Slater in round number 2. And he will be making that heat for sure.
Yeah, if we do our math right, of course, Kelly, the number 1 seed, will go up against the lowest of the wild cards. If that's Corey Arambidi, he will, in fact, be against Kelly Slater possibly this afternoon here at Mundaka. Talking about being thrown into the fire, Dino, if you're a Grom from California, you get the phone call about an hour ago that one of the contestants, says Troy Brooks, has pulled out with an injury. And, of course, Corey would be the guy to get in. And imagine that he gets down here. Well, who am I against? Oh, you're against Slater, man on man in a minute. Grab your jersey, kid.
Well, you got to think about how exciting that must be, you know? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It's every kid's dream to surf against Kelly Slater, and especially all the way on the other side of the world in Spain. Man on man, not to mention.
Yeah, thrown into the fire, no doubt.
And like you said, in heat number 14, we have, other than Troy Brooks, or actually Corey Arambidi, you're going to have Bruce Irons and Chris Ward, 2 very similar surfers going against each other here.
Yeah, exactly. Two aerialists out here on their backside, so we'll see. And I think we're going to cut to Jake Paterson talking a little bit about how he prepares here for Mundaka and perhaps maybe his equipment and stuff for this wave here at Mundaka.
My routine, getting up in the morning, probably just get my stuff together and get the team together. We don't normally travel with a few of the boys, and you know, the support that we give each other is unreal. Me, Tommy, and Jared, and Luke Stedman, we all just, you know, Taj, all kind of support each other and get down here and video each other's heats, and you know, they all just kick on and kind of amp you up. You hope you don't have one of them in your heat, and you know, I just take it pretty easy. I don't listen to music very often, and it depends how I'm feeling. I don't stretch. You know, if there's time for free surf, I go for a little free surf maybe, but just kind of run with it. I'm pretty easy.
Well, some classic words there from Jake Paterson. You know, the funny thing about Jake, Dino, is both of us have had a chance to surf against him, and
very savvy competitor.
His career, yeah, he's talking pretty nonchalant there. But I got a chance to. I was caddying for Luke Egan at Sunset, and Jake was in the heat or hanging out with Luke at the time. Luke was in contention for the world title with Andy Irons, and Jake was incredible. Just his knowledge of the break and what he was saying over the microphone about the conditions and helping Luke at that time. He's certainly an ambassador for the sport and one of the best surfers ever to come out of Australia. He's having a look right now at a wave. He needs a score here, Dino. Jake Paterson in the yellow in position. Here he goes.
Yeah, there Jake goes, and you know, like we said earlier, he waited for quite a while for this wave, and unfortunately getting stuck behind that. But you know, like you said, Jake's just an incredibly savvy competitor, and it looks like Danny Wills out the back, Mike.
This is a better wave for Willsey. A big floater there to start, coming around this section. Nice little speed snap there. Another turn off the top. He looks pretty relaxed here, Dino. He's finally found his form and a beautiful finishing turn there.
Yeah, it looked like Danny definitely got a rhythm going on that wave and finished it off with a nice vertical closeout re-entry.
Yeah, you could see him kind of slow down a little bit on that wave and take his time and let the wave kind of come to him. He didn't try to force anything. A series of nice maneuvers there for Danny Wills. We'll wait and see what he scored. Before that wave, he was looking for a 6.17. It's probably going to be close. He might be right in the hunt here.
Absolutely. Just a really smooth surfer, Danny Wills. Always so pleasing to the eye to watch.
Yeah, if you had to pick, you know, a couple of guys that you think have the best style in the world, Danny Wills' name would always come up on my short list as, you know, someone that you want to watch surf.
Absolutely. He's really got a great approach. Looks like Marcelo Nunes kicks out. Looks like there's a little change in the lineup here, Mike.
Yeah, conditions looking better here, Dino. Here goes Jake Paterson. This is a better wave. And let's see if he can get around this opening section. The last wave he was stuck behind. This one he's got some speed here. It's winding up down the line. Oh, he's very frustrated. Did not.
Looks like we have blue paddling, but not opting to go.
Yeah, a lot of action here. Now Willsey way down the line. Let's see if he can get a section here. Now the wave closes out. Willsey's last wave comes through at a 5.60. And it's not quite enough to take him into the lead, but it bumps him up to second, Dino, and now he's looking for only a 4.57. So he did himself a world of good there with 6 minutes to go. And we're going to roll to a replay now here. Dino, why don't you take us through Willsie's wave?
Yeah, if you look at the way his approach here, he's cruising there, just kind of relaxed. Nice big long bottom turn with a nice little rock and roll floater, kind of projecting him into this next section here. And as he comes on the open face, you can really nice smooth off the top as he projects down the line, and another little snap off the top for Danny Wills. And you can tell he's just really smooth, and one more nice vertical pop there.
Yeah, that was a really nice turn there from Willsie, that last one, and just kind of jumps up on the water. So that was his highest scoring wave, 5.60, as Marcelo Nunes races down the line and kicks out. And well, like we've been saying, we're at the bottom of the tide, and I think, Dino, it's safe to say this has been the most, well, the first heat and this heat have been the most trying conditions so far this morning. I mean, not very many high-scoring waves so far in this heat. The highest wave is 6.33, and Willsie a 5.60. See these guys really making the most of these conditions.
Absolutely, I think that right at the end of the tide is the hardest.
Yeah, definitely the most difficult time. I think we're going to cut to GT down there. He's with Mick Fanning, and we'll see what Mick has to say.
All right, rainy day, dream away, let the sun take a holiday. I'm with Mr. Mick Fanning. Mick, you know, you're kind of one of the stoked ones that have already kind of been through a heat in some a little bit better conditions than now, but not so bad, huh?
No, it's not too bad. I think just with the full moon, the really big tide, it just sort of sucked all the swell out. But as the tide stopped now, it's starting to pull in a bit. So, yeah, I think in the next few heats there should be some really good waves.
Now let's talk about your downtime, because we've kind of been hanging out for a few days, but you're still fired up, checking out the event, kind of hanging with all the boys, huh?
Yeah, I've just been just cruising, just catching up on sleep and all the after that last event, and yeah, just been hanging out.
So, and congratulations, you're on a bit of a freaking roll here. That last one in France, you and Parko, your good mate, kind of going blow for blow in that thing.
Yeah, it was good. We both talked about making the final, and it was good. We both made it, but for me it was a bit of a non-event. I just got stuck in the rip in the final, but it was all good.
All right, Yellow with the paddle here. Take us through this wave.
Yeah, there's a little bumpy wave at the start, but Jake's flying down the line, and he's going to get a big floater and hopefully get around this section, do another snap, and then he's belted it again. So another turn there. So out there for right now, it's a pretty good wave. He's looking for one more floater, but unfortunately comes unstuck. So, but that's a good wave for out there right now. It's really fast and really short. So,
kind of like me. But anyways, don't try and steal my job, by the way. Okay, I mean seriously. So Mick, as we hold on, Red with the paddle. No. So as we're kind of getting into the business end of the tour with 3 events left, you're within striking distance. Does it just completely put a bigger target than normal on Kelly's back?
I think Kelly's always had a massive target on his back. I think everyone that goes out and surfs against him wants to beat him, and yeah. But when he's had that world title last year, it's always like everyone wants someone else to win. But I'm pretty pumped. I've got to do a lot of work still. I've got to make a few more finals, so we'll see what happens.
Well, there's a few more events left.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm still going for it.
Bring it to pipe.
Yeah, we'll try.
All right. Well, thanks, Mick, for catching up with us. And people are hanging out here under the tent, if you will. I see Ace, and there's Sean Canzo, and people are kind of hanging out, and so am I. So we'll catch up with you guys shortly. But let's.
Some good words there from Mick Fanning. It sounds like he's real keen to stay in the hunt here and push this world title race right down to the end to pipe. Of course, he was talking about that final him and Parko were in last week up in France. And while we were doing the interview with Mick, we saw the ride that Mick Fanning actually called. Jake Paterson jumped into the lead with a 7.0.
Yeah, you knew that was coming. He just waited and picked off the right wave.
Yeah, Jake, he's like we've been talking about how good he competes. We're going to cut to a replay of his ride and take a look through it here. But Jake, really smart here. He waited for this wave. He needed a quality set wave, and he got one. This is the wave that Mick Fanning called for us. He's flying down the line here. A big floater there. Beautiful projection, how long he was on the lip there, Dino.
Yeah, he really projected onto the open face there. Nice little snap, little almost a little tail blast. And here he does another one, just a little nice little snap, almost a little slide off the backside of the wave there, Mike.